to take up too much of the minister's valuable time, but we do love having him with us. So once again, we welcome our favorite minister back to Fort Francis. No, you are our favorite minister. And it's always a pleasure to have Minister Rickford visit. And once again, he comes with good news. So with that, I'll call on Minister Rickford to come up and make an announcement of his good news.
So there's a couple things going on this morning in beautiful Fort Francis. Spring is trying to spring. And just seeing the water this morning, the sun reflecting off of it, just gave me a peaceful, easy feeling that a new season is just around the corner. It's making its best efforts to come. And with that kind of renewal, I always find it fitting at different points in the year to make sure that the snowshoes don't fall. And so in the heart of winter, you like to give, come in and work on some pieces that help us get through that. And then spring, we see projects nearly done just over there at the park, Your Worship, and then some other pieces that bring us to the museum here today. And I thought that the program that this comes from was particularly relevant for us down here in Fort Francis and the Rainy River District writ large. And that is perhaps its greatest quality and strength, and that is resilience. And the program is actually the Resilient Communities Fund. And I think that's fitting, because I think it plants a flag and reminds everybody that even through hardship, some 6-7 years ago in the process, when a major, something like the mill is closed down, and new opportunities through mining and agriculture and rail start to show us that there's other things going on. It's the institutions and the assets that help us appreciate where we're from that mean a lot, and that we work as levels of government, Your Worship, to ensure that they're there, that they're strong, and that they're resourced. So the Resilient Communities Fund today is supporting, to the tune of almost $90,000, the Fort Francis Museum and Cultural Center. And we've been here before and had some great announcements, but this particular resource is to enhance the digital opportunities, to create other learning opportunities, community curation, and cultural tourism. All bundled up, that means more capacity to host other events, whether they are uniquely local or the one that you're surrounded by right now, which is kind of part two of where I'm going to ramble on for a little bit, if you'll indulge me. Because this exhibit, as I first saw it at Science North in Sudbury, Indigenous Ingenuity, was something that the Ministry of Northern Development and the Ministry of Indigenous Affairs, Your Worship, rallied behind at Science North. And it was jaw-dropping. My little girls ran wild, Randy. They were just, there were, and they were, Abby was processing the origins of mathematics as it might be manifest through Indigenous culture, particularly in Northern Ontario. That igloos were not just, built with, like you build a snowman. There was actually some design features to it, some very technical elements in order for it to be able to become a dwelling place to this day, especially for hunts out on the Arctic tundra, and that there was a real science and architectural design to it. And so all of these things were there at Science North. And for anybody who's heard me talk, I think over at the library, you'll remember a story I shared that the previous CEO and the current one know one thing about Greg Rickford, and that is that if you're going to call something Science North, it's going to be for the North. Otherwise, you can call it the Sudbury Science Center. Make a choice. It's not like we won't be your partner, but don't tease us. Don't make us jealous that we don't have access to things that you label. And to their full credit, counselors, curators, members of the general public, I get goosebumps thinking about the extraordinary lengths that they have gone to. We have Science North camps in communities across Northern Ontario. My kids are already enrolled in 3 weeks of them up in Kenora. There are plans to build a mini-me Science North in Kenora. They are here at the library. They had an extraordinary exhibit that got the wheels turning in our young minds and gave kids additional activities to do in their communities. And so this Indigenous ingenuity piece is a shining example of the kinds of things that they set up at Science North. Yes, there's more space to do it, et cetera, but they have brought versions of it or it in its entirety to other communities in the North. And that's what makes it Science North. Yep. And that's why, as taxpayers, where I would otherwise have my hand in my pocket guarding my wallet in these inflationary times, I'm okay with it. Because Indigenous ingenuity in this exhibit, as you see it, is an extraordinary opportunity for people to come and understand that science, technology, engineering and mathematics have been around in Indigenous cultures as long as they've been anywhere. And we're just celebrating that with Indigenous ingenuity. And the only thing I have left to do on this Indigenous ingenuity piece is fire up members of our other ministries and move this into Southern Ontario. And we're currently now trying to create a mechanism, because it was funded for the North through Northern Development, and leverage the Ministry of Indigenous Affairs. Because I just know when this particular exhibit hits, you know, the Chatham Ontarios, the Mississaugas, did I just say Mississaugas? Off the record. And other communities across Southern Ontario, they're going to get an opportunity to celebrate what Science North has done, what we have partnered with them, and let them know that we already saw it, bro. Okay, it came to us in Fort Francis, it came to us in Thunder Bay, it came to us communities all across where there was an interest in doing it. Somebody in my own team is gonna nod at me and say, okay, thank you, Minister, you're at risk of going on another full half hour, and I wanna walk around the exhibit, and I understand we have some young people coming to celebrate it. But folks, understand what we're doing here today. We're making sure that this museum remains the institution and the asset that the community has celebrated for well over a century. That exhibits that are in other parts of Northern Ontario, funded by the province of Ontario and its various ministries, can come to a theatre near you too. It doesn't just have to be over there in Sudbury. And that we are showcasing an exhibit that has attracted the attention of a lot of people, and done right, Science North is going to be able to at least walk this across parts of Southern Ontario, where folks will simply gain a deeper appreciation for the kinds of things that have gone on in Northern Ontario for time immemorial, that we're now only recently coming to celebrate in these terms, and heck, have some young kids enjoy it. And I think if you've walked around the exhibit, you'd see pretty quickly that it's interesting for adults as well. So I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm Greg Rickford. I'm the Member of Provincial Parliament for the Great Kenora-Rainy River riding. It's a privilege and an honor to serve my constituents, but as a huge fan of Science North, what they're doing across the North, the work that we have been doing with the Mayor and Council to make sure that these kinds of things get done, and frankly across the district, to serve you and bring this to you. Thank you.
I really want to thank Minister Rickford for his kind words about Science North, and Indigenous ingenuity. As a former science teacher, as a career educator, I really appreciate those words, and I appreciate your passion, Minister Rickford. We heard that loud and clear today. I do want to talk a little bit about the grant. It's such a good grant for us. The town of Fort Frances is engaged in an ongoing transformation to improve its efficiency and transparency in providing services, and also to improve the quality of those services. And so, to that end, we've completed a new strategic plan, a governance review, a communication strategy, and we're in the process of completing a recreation master plan. And this grant will allow the museum to develop a 5-year museum strategic plan and allow the Recreation and Culture Division to develop a brand new cultural master plan. So you spoke of the museum and how important it is and what we have around here and what it does for the community. This grant is going to allow us to further those goals. The museum strat plan will focus on methods, as the minister said, to engage with residents and visitors utilizing new learning opportunities, digital offerings, and collaboration. And the cultural master plan, through extensive community engagement, will examine broader cultural opportunities again, including increased collaboration and cultural tourism. We are very grateful to the Trillium Fund for providing financing for these important developments. And as always, we are very, very appreciative of Minister Rickford's continued support and assistance as we work together to make Fort Frances a better place to live, work, and play. Minister Rickford is always there for Fort Frances, so on behalf of the town of Fort Frances, its council, administration, and staff, a big thank you to Minister Rickford.